Oops. Computer. Whoa.
The Palisades fire has grown to more than 21,000 acres. It is only 8% contained as firefighters continue to battle dry conditions.
With more than 5,000 homes and structures lost, it is the fourth most destructive wildfire in California history. Meanwhile, we're following reports of looting in the area. We're also learning why a nearby reservoir, a crucial resource, could not be used in the firefight. So let's go live to Eyewitness News reporter John.
Final checkpoint to get into Pacific Palisades. Take a look. Residents are trying to get in, but you need a police escort. They are being turned away. Most are. But first, I do want
acres. It is only 8% contained as firefighters continue to battle dry conditions.
With more than 5,000 homes and structures lost, it is the fourth most destructive wildfire in California history. Meanwhile, we're following reports of looting in the area. We're also learning why a nearby reservoir, a crucial resource, could not be used in the firefight. So let's go live to Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell, live in Pacific Palisades. Josh?
Yeah, David and Colleen, it has been a desperate scene here all day. We are at the final checkpoint to get into Pacific Palisades. Take a look. Residents are trying to get in, but you need a police escort. They are being turned away. Most are. But first, I do want to play a video that I received earlier from a friend that was recorded on his home Ring camera. His family is evacuated, but it was a surprise recording from a firefighter who's in place in his driveway for structure protection.
Hello, I don't know if you can see this, but we're the City of Orange Fire Department. We're assigned for protection, what we call full patrol of your neighborhood. So we'll be roaming around probably the whole next 24 hours, make sure nothing flares up, so we can protect your property.
Now take a look at this line of cars on Sunset Boulevard
It's a
at
lot
one
of
of
stuff
the
to
3
burn.
checkpoints. Now, residents have been lining up to see if they still have a home and retrieve their belongings. The
It's a lot of
Palisades
stuff
fire
to burn.
is the 4th most destructive fire in California history. The devastation catastrophic, as it really feels that over 50% of the town of Pacific Palisades is gone. The fire is currently at 8% containment. Now, it's burned over 21,000 acres. 5,316 structures have been destroyed, and over 3,000 firefighters are assigned. Air support has helped a great deal, but as we've been reporting, one of the 2 LA County super scoopers assigned to the Palisades fire was hit by a drone and has been taken out of service until Monday. The current red flag warning ends tonight, and another one will start Monday. Here's what Mayor Bass said today, and also we interviewed a resident of Pacific Palisades whose home was looted.
I want the residents of Los Angeles region to have faith in what we are doing 24 hours a day. I can say on behalf of our first responders from the fire department, the police department, we are doing everything we can to bring the situation under control, and success has been reported.
We saw about 3 guys go in. They were wearing what you'd see like people wear during COVID, just like a hoodie and the normal mask, and essentially they just went in and they took a lot of things. They didn't take any photos, like sentimental things. Those are still there, but we did have a good amount of cash in there. We had watches, most importantly clothes, a lot of nice clothes, designer things.
Now, Aiden and his family are under a mandatory evacuation, and although firefighters saved their home, they now have to deal with looting. Now, they told me they feel betrayed by the city. Also, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, which holds 117 million gallons of water, is currently closed because of repairs to its cover, and it could not be used during the Palisades fire. Although it is located in the middle of the Palisades in the Palisades Highlands, and some believe it would have really helped. Governor Newsom has ordered a probe as to why that reservoir was offline. Now, there is no word yet how those looters have been getting into Pacific Palisades, because there really are checkpoints at every entrance and exit.
Maybe
That is part of the
checkpoints,
reason
but,
why the National Guard.
Maybe checkpoints, but they could climb up stuff. They could get around. There's ways they could get around. They could climb, weasel their way in somehow.
Has been called in and is on their way here. We haven't seen them here yet, but we expect them to be in the Palisades shortly.
California's privately owned water. Yeah, so I saw this. This was crazy. I don't know really how true this is or not. Look at this.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system.
That's
seized
crazy.
in a series of
Jesus shit.
secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage.
Wow.
Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state.
Damn.
The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland, and nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella.
Not me.
The Wonderful Company. A privately owned
Show
company
off.
worth at least $5 billion.
I had Fiji water before.
The majority owners, the
What
Resnicks,
the
are
fuck
worth
ever.
at least $8 billion.
That's a lot.
How were they able to take over such a large percentage of what should be a shared public resource? This is The Classroom from More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how the Resnicks got rich. Linda is a former child actress, the daughter of Jack Harris, a successful movie distributor of the 1950s, most well known for The Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
That was big
At
back
19,
then.
she founded her
That was
own
really something
advertising
back then,
agency.
Aussie baby.
Stewart was born to a middle-class New Jersey family and started his first business, a janitorial service, in grad school. He eventually acquired
Janitors
American
unite.
Protection Services.
There's nothing. Janitors, they're dangerous, man. Let me tell you, janitors, beware. Beware of them sometimes. They can rise up in the ranks.
Burglar alarm and security company. Linda approached him about marketing services for the company, and they hit it off.
Try
not
Evian that
knowing
tastes
that
better than Fiji. This is gonna sound I just drink tap water. I just pour water out the faucet. I drink it.
I do. Same.
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like I
Yeah.
drink it right there, straight up.
That's what real man does. That's what real man does, Ozzy baby.
That's what Kate
You
used
tell
to
him.
do. They were fine.
Show me your tiger.
That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be.
That's right.
Quit being
Damn
a
too
pussy.
right. Yeah. Show me your real man.
Yeah, stop being such a pussy, man.
Yeah, stop
One
being
day,
a pussy.
They worked together to take
Tell 'em.
over California's water. The Lovebirds became business partners. They bought Teleflora, the flower delivery company,
Wow.
and the Franklin Mint, purveyors of inane little tchotchkes. Linda was the marketing person, and Stewart
Be a
was in
man,
charge
be a
of
woman.
business.
Step
As
up
Linda
to the
told
plate.
the LA Times in 1993, "I've always said that Stewart and I together make one perfect person, like little salt and pepper shakers."
That's cute.
In the late 80s, they found their
Yeah.
primary industry,
Peas in the pod.
agriculture. They got into the pistachio business. Linda said,
Yellow
"We've done more
water.
for the pistachio
Nice.
than anyone ever since it was planted in the Garden of Eden."
I don't think so. I feel like Snoop Dogg did a lot for pistachios because whenever I think of pistachios, I don't even know who they are, but like I think of Snoop Dogg. Remember that interview, that commercial that he did?
Yeah.
It's
all about Snoop
they've
Dogg.
done maybe they've
Make
they've
America
done maybe
great
the second
again with
most
Snoop
for
Dogg.
pistachios, but number one would in fact
Well,
be
it all
Snoop
comes
Dogg.
back to Snoop Dogg. It does. It really
My
does.
husband should be
You
canonized for
don't?
all the work he's done.
They hired him.
They started branching into other products.
Well, it says
Almonds,
difference between cutting the
pomegranates,
cow.
citrus, wine, and acquiring more and more land to cover it, including some very important land in Kern County, which granted them water rights in the area.
Right
As
above
the Resnicks were
Kern
building
County.
their
Yeah.
empire, the state of California was building new water infrastructure with taxpayer money.
Yeah.
California's natural water
Yeah, so
supply
what
is
happened with
very
that?
inconsistent. Vastly
Yeah,
different.
what happened to taxpayers obviously doesn't matter. Our politicians really have our backs when they just let these millionaires take our water supplies.
Amounts of rainfall means the state can go from surplus to drought and back very easily.
Wow.
So they build water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts.
a good
For
idea.
themselves.
One important storage facility is the Kern Water Bank, started in 1988. The facility was built with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which
Yeah.
could have been a good thing. The people of California
That sounds
would
good.
have owned the water.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
But there were two Californians thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more water.
Obviously.
Linda and
Two
Stuart
pigs in
Resnick,
the pod.
and they had a lot of political power. We'll get to that. In 1994, state water officials, water infrastructure contractors, and agricultural landowners with water rights arranged a secretive meeting at a
Corruption.
resort in Monterey Bay, California.
Totally, should be totally illegal.
What is this shit?
Shouldn't some people, shouldn't some people hate for this, taking our water? So it's
These
like, holy
groups,
shit.
a mix of private companies and
not a
public
secret.
agencies, rewrote California's water rules without any input from voters, taxpayers, or legislators. The new rules, called the Monterey Plus Agreement or the Monterey Amendments, were devastating for working Californians and great for agriculture billionaires. The original code included urban preference,
Wow.
a long-standing rule that in times of drought, the state water board would give urban
Yeah.
areas, where people live, access to water supplies before
I
agricultural
remember,
interests.
so this way
Monterey
back in
axed
the
that.
papers.
That means that in times of drought, the water systems for normal Californians
Is California in a drought right now?
Always.
I
Last
don't
year
know.
we got a lot of. Last year we got a lot of rain, Ozzy, but now we're back in a drought because of La Nina. La Nina. She didn't get her payment. She didn't get her OnlyFans payment. Okay, when you don't pay up on OnlyFans, Ozzy baby, they come after your water and everything, your food, your pistachios, and everything. They go after your balls and everything. It just happens, Ozzy. You should know that.
People are half and half on that.
would have to
Yeah,
buy
we're in
water
drought,
from
we are.
private companies because they
This
weren't
dry,
getting it
we're
from
not
the
getting
state.
rain, bro.
The new agreement also loosened regulations on paper water. That's water that doesn't necessarily exist anywhere but on paper. The full quantities of water that providers could have, but don't actually need to have. Today, 5 times as much water has been promised and sold as actually exists.
Sold! Sold! Water's being sold!
The
Yeah.
state was transferred to a few private water contractors. One of which was Westside Mutual,
Our politicians.
a subsidiary of Wonderful Foods.
Huh?
The wonderful employee who runs Westside, Bill Phillimore,
Yeah?
is the chairman of the public organization that manages the Kern Water Bank.
Piece of shit.
Huh.
Politicians, yeah. They don't care about us, do they? They don't, yeah.
See,
It's
I'm
about
just gonna
money.
say
It's
it.
corrupt, all that.
this is the reason why people like Luigi.
They do.
This is it.
For this reason.
Because how the fuck can you respect the
Make
system
Luigi's great again,
that is
right?
an obvious fucking scam?
It is
How dare
bullshit.
no? I'm
Our
being
fucking
honest, and I'm saying
government.
like you guys know my take on it. You know my take on it. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that how the fuck are people not going to come to that conclusion when they see?
Yeah, when the government doesn't have our backs, when they screw us over, which they always do, both sides. I'm not talking about one side. I don't want to hear political bullshit about it being the Democrats or Republicans because they're both in office. When this happened here in California, this is the 90s stuff, all right? And then, it got off in the early 2000s and stuff like that. And both sides is corrupted. Everyone is a tool in it. I know politicians. I know politicians personally that say they can get away with murder, and they can. And it's about money and being a tool for their party and making money. It's like a lot of people get in politics with good intentions, and then they get corrupted being in the party system. And you pretty much sell out your soul and everything else when you get into office and everything. And people, they just don't care about the people. They don't. Both sides don't. And so, I mean, this is where Luigi's come in, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, if something happened there, it's like, this is why a lot of people think that's karma. That's pretty much karma. That's,
Points put together like this.
I mean, the thing is, politicians and law enforcement and all stuff, and Congress is supposed to have laws to protect us. They don't. They have laws to protect themselves from litigation, from, they have natural immunity, and they can lie and get away with fraud and all this other stuff that us normal everyday citizens, we can't get away with it. We can't get away with, doing the stuff that they do. They have that natural immunity clause legally and everything. And it's really ridiculous how they make more laws to protect themselves than the brother-sister system that they got. But they're not doing anything for the people to protect us, the people, and our rights, our, food, our water, over taxation. They don't care about that. They want to overtax us. That's what it's about. It's more like screwing us. That's all they're doing, screwing us over. So if something happens to them, it's like, well, you did this,
You gotta call it bullshit? Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, this is the truth. He's coming around. Yeah, it's too fucking blatant. I guess
what
so.
What goes around comes around.
Their secret meeting should have been the grounds for throwing them in jail. This sounds illegal. Well,
no, this is why I believe they got national immunity as politicians. They can lie and everything, right? But I believe for politicians and people like that, there should be a death penalty when it comes to stuff like this. All these people's homes and stuff like that. Politicians and people in law enforcement should be held to a higher, to a higher grade. Because you have hundreds of millions of people that depend on the government and how they screw us over. But it's just us average, James and Joes, that screws over somebody. That's just one or maybe few dozen people, or dozen people, right, at most. So when government officials do it, there's tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people that get screwed or could get killed or, that die. We have North Carolina, 104 people died because of the government's response. They kept people from getting help. You had relief workers getting harassed by helicopters, contractors, stuff like that. And I think there should be like a death penalty and stuff like that for these people that, let these things happen that are corrupt. Because, let me tell you, I know, I see a lot of people pain and misery, going through pain and misery. I know what it's like to go through that in life. And when you see people going through all this pain and misery and hell and stuff like that, hell should be paid back to these people that created it and let it happen. And they need to be held accountable. If they're not held accountable, they do stuff like this and all this other stuff that's been happening in this country and everything, Politicians just don't care about the people. It's more like we're screwing the people. It's like, fuck the people. We'll do whatever we want. We'll sell everything off our natural resources to the highest bidder. And we don't have to provide heat, water, air conditioning, electricity. We don't have to do that because we own that. And people suffer because of that, and they need to go to prison or, have that penalty there.
Well, and that's the reason, is that I think that people have a fundamental, like this is me pontificating, okay? So what the fuck? But I think that people have an internal sense of justice, and I think that's why almost every religious system has a karma system built into it, right? Whether it's going to hell, whether it's being reincarnated as a bug rather than an eagle, or whether it's dying and you have 70-something virgins if you do the right thing, right? A lot of these, because people have a desire to have the wrongs of the world righted. You see what I'm saying? They do. Is it 72? I don't know. It's a lot. And anyway, because of that, they see something
somebody
like
knows
this
a lot about the virgin system, I guess.
We're getting fucking scammed. These people are
That's the
cheating
reason why
us.
they go to that
They're
religion,
taking
so they
advantage
can...
of us. They're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and it's at the detriment of everyone. And then they have and also, I think a lot of people, how many of you guys think that this type of relationship should be illegal? This type of collaboration, let's be real, collusion should be illegal.
Yes.
A lot of people think this. I think that if you were to explain this situation to
especially
an average
when
voter,
it hurts
90
so
to
many...
80% of them, probably 95, realistically, would say that this is bullshit.
Including against the very old people.
When Luigi shoots somebody in the back of the fucking head, two wrongs don't make a right.
Treasonous it is.
But at least they're equal.
They are.
And that's the reason why people support that shit.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Now, it's not a good thing that happens. But you got to understand why it happens. There's a reason why it happens. It's not like
why
these
this
things,
stuff happens. There's a reason for it.
It doesn't. This isn't happening.
It's because the people are getting abused. They're getting fucked up the ass by politicians. That's why. And politicians, our justice system is not protecting us. They'll do anything the politicians tell them to do and keep us locked in and do this and do that. And they'll take our civil rights away, and it doesn't apply to them. They can do whatever the hell they want. They have all the parties and stuff like this and everything. Just do as we tell you and not do as we do, type of thing. And they're not protecting the people. They're about making laws that protect themselves, making laws you can't say hateful things against us. If you do, it's terrorism. And there's a reason why people get pissed off. And there's a reason why people want him dead. It's because they created this fire. They made this happen. They did it. They created the hate because they don't care about us, the people. And these are really sick sons of bitches that we got that should never, been in the land of living because they don't care about the people, they just don't. Now, if I go into something public, I want to help people. I would never do that to hurt people. I mean, these are some evil, sick, twisted, psychopathic people, that are doing very evil things to us and everything. And I just don't like people that like to hurt other people like this, that are just evil, beyond evil, I don't, because I've been through a lot of pain and suffering most of my life. I know what it's like, and I know it's like to see other people. I can feel other people's pain and suffering. When you're an empath and you can feel other people's emotions and their pain and suffering, it impacts people like me a lot harder than it does with others. And I want people to understand that with me and stuff like that. There needs to be justice for us, the people. We need justice. And we're not getting it from politicians and these people in office, stuff like that. I just see we're getting abused all the time, no matter what political side of the aisle.
Happening in a vacuum. It's an eye for an eye? Yeah. Wow, justifying murder? It's not justifying. See,
it's not murder. It's not. I don't see. Yeah,
I am explaining the way that people feel. So if I explain, does the scientist that explains the way that the California fires spread, is he justifying the fires? Is he saying, no, you think he's pro-fire? That's not how it works.
I remember one guy in chat on the news, and this guy said we should ban fire, and I was just being funny, and it's like, yes, we should ban all fire. We should not allow people to keep warm and everything like that. We shouldn't allow that. We should also ban electricity and everything like that. We should allow people to have warming blankets, heat blankets, and use ovens and use all this stuff, ban gas, and all this other stuff. It's like, oh my God. I know he's being sarcastic, I know probably, but
put your brain back in and think about it for a minute. You're explaining cause and effect. Yeah. Did these billionaires kill people in the fires?
Yeah, they're causes.
I don't. I mean, like,
it's yin and yang.
I'm sure
karma,
to some form of
yang.
abstraction, yes. How much is impossible to know.
It's karma.
Boom. One secret
It's the
meeting,
way of
and the
Buddhism.
Resnicks owned nearly 60% of an important California water resource, built with hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money.
So now, okay, that's
the new
convenient.
ownership, combined with the rules on paper
For them.
and surplus water, meant that during times of drought, the Resnicks could sell current water back to the state water systems.
So they had the public pay for it, and then they gave it to the private company, and then now the public pays for it again from the private company that's using it because the public paid to make it.
Which I don't think we should pay for water
They
and all
took
stuff.
Californian taxpayers' water and sold it back to them, both literally as the water supply and also to grow expensive
wrong
food
paying
like gourmet
taxes, so it'd be
pistachios and
double
pomegranates.
tax.
Yeah, also, like,
Or
we don't need
triple
pomegranate
tax,
juice.
triple
We don't need
tax.
pistachios. You can get rid of that.
Everything.
Nobody needs that shit.
We don't.
Like, you have orange juice, you have lemonade. You have apple
Yes.
juice. Stop
And
it. That's enough.
we
Look at
got
this bottle.
Kool-Aid.
This is outrageous. This is ridiculous.
Kool-Aid says
A
bless
bunch of
you.
bullshit.
They converted the people's water into products many
Let's go
can't
back
afford.
before I really
And
interrupt
You have
this guy.
lemonade. You have apple.
they took Californian taxpayers' water and sold it back to them,
Right.
both literally as the water supply
That's-
and also to
wow.
grow expensive food like gourmet pistachios and pomegranate juice.
Yeah, also, like, we don't need pomegranate juice. We don't need pistachios. You can get rid of that.
Well-
Nobody needs that shit. Like, you have
I thought you were
orange
talking about
juice.
tax.
You have lemonade.
You
You have apple juice. Stop it.
Yes.
That's enough. Look at this bottle.
Well,
This is
pomegranate
outrageous.
juice is good, but I don't like the people that
This is
pomegranate is good.
ridiculous.
It's healthy.
What a bunch of bullshit.
It's healthy. Yeah, but it's healthy. It's
They converted the
antioxidants.
people's water into products many can't afford. And that's just one water bank. The Resnicks also have control of other water boards and have been sued for directing more water towards their properties. So how do they get away with this Chinatown-level chicanery?
Going to be a
With
lot of
Bobo?
irate citizens when they find out that they're paying for water. that
Because
they're not
people
gonna
have
get.
died for
With
not getting this
philanthropy.
water that they need.
The Resnicks donate millions of dollars to politicians and research institutions,
Smart.
which help them secure control over water systems.
So they pay the people that make the rules that, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, it seems, yeah, that's a good idea.
And even get more water
Yeah.
and more taxpayer funding.
Yeah.
One important project is the proposed California Delta Tunnel, a taxpayer-funded project which would send water from northern
So it's
California
another tax. Okay, and then let me guess, they're
Right,
going to have, like,
yeah,
control
yeah.
over it? They're
More
going
more
to...
taxation.
to Central, where the
Let's
Resnick's farms
shoot
are.
out.
Right, okay.
They've spent hundreds
Never mind that our state government has lost $24 billion. That's lost right now. But we're not going to discuss that. We're not going to go over that. The $24 billion that's missing going to other things that is unknown that should be going to secret programs in the state or whatever. Just had to say it, had to point it
hundreds of
out.
thousands of dollars on state and federal legislation and politicians who support the tunnel project. But their favorite politician is Senator Dianne Feinstein.
You come in here
Oh,
and you
God.
say it has to be my way or the highway.
Chair of the Energy and Water Subcommittee. She's a close personal
She's
friend of
way
the
past her
Resnicks,
time.
attending their holiday parties in Aspen and maintaining their financial interests.
Yeah.
A quick look through the bills she's sponsored shows several which would direct money to current-adjacent water projects. The Resnicks even ask her for things
Guys, we're not going to be doing this weird-ass Jew shit. Like, oh, wow, it's Stein. It's a bunch of Jews doing it. There's plenty of greedy
Yeah.
fucking black people, white people, Asians,
Everybody
Koreans.
sounds
Like,
it.
I guess it's kind of say, Russia.
Yeah,
What are
I
we
get
doing
sick
about
of
this
that
weird-ass
bullshit
Jew
serious
shit?
about,
You think
yeah,
that Jews are
got,
the only people that are greedy? Everybody's
yeah,
greedy.
it's all over the world. Shut the fuck up.
Quit making it
Exactly.
weird.
Yeah, shut the,
The
fuck
reason,
up.
see, this is the reason why. Like, I'm gonna be real. Is y'all get fixated on this Jew shit, and now you're
Yeah.
thinking about them being bad, while people that are part of other groups are doing the exact same thing to you,
They're
but you
doing it,
think they're
yeah.
on your side because their last name doesn't end with Stein.
Race and ethnicity has nothing
Wake
to
the
do
fuck
with
up.
it. Every color and
direct.
ethnicity
When
does.
a
It
pesky
doesn't
study
matter.
about endangering salmon and shad fisheries threatened the Delta Tunnel,
Plenty
Stewart
of
I feel like people never
bad
want to
people
talk
go
about this
around,
because they're
of
afraid
course.
of like being called anti-Semitic or something or like racist. I just say it.
Yeah.
It is so embarrassing. Like, wake the fuck up. They're on each other's side. Like, these people, this rich Jewish
They're
person
each other's
has more in common
patties.
with the rich Chinese person than they do with you.
It happens in China.
They got way
Japan,
more in
all those
common with
other
each other than they
places,
do with you. They don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, everywhere. It happens everywhere.
Is class not race? Yes.
You could that. Yeah, that
If
is
every Jewish
argument,
person
yeah.
stopped existing, these problems would keep happening.
It would always
a
happen.
letter to
Without
Feinstein
that
demanding
doesn't
a new
work.
study.
Dumb
She
as hell.
immediately forwarded it to the Obama administration,
Yeah.
who agreed to spend $750,000 on a new study. It returned the same results.
On a
as the
study.
first
I know there's a lot of people that are disappointed. I don't hate Jews. I'm sorry. Apologize. As a German, I'm sorry. I might have let people down, but it's just not really for me. It's not a viewpoint I have. I never really felt that way. Sorry, it's just not me. Yeah. I can't be perfect, right? I can't always live up to your expectations.
Yeah, I can't be racist. I
But
can't
the
be
residents
racist
have
either.
tried. They are among the top donors to the University of California system,
get canceled.
with
I
their
don't hate
donations
Jews.
focusing on agricultural and
that it?
ecological
Yeah.
studies. The Resnicks have basically bought entire departments who put out studies
Cancel
on how water
residents.
systems should be
These
managed.
That's
billionaire
So-
people.
Study. It returned the same results as the first one. Can't buy science.
Bad
But
politics.
the Resnicks have tried. They are among the top donors to the University of California system, with their donations focusing on agricultural and ecological studies. The Resnicks have basically bought entire departments who put out studies on how water systems should be managed.
And I wonder what those
It's
studies
good
say.
fake.
You know, I've seen certain studies that were put out by
You
toothpaste
could buy,
companies
you could
that
buy
say that
your
their toothpaste is better
agenda.
than the
You could buy
toothpaste
your
that the
way
other
in.
guys make.
You could buy a
What are the
system.
odds of that?
Take over all these other things.
And where funding should go.
Say it's for
That
good,
leads to
but
even
it's
more
full
federal and
corruption.
state taxpayer dollars being used to fix up what
All
the Resnicks
corrupt.
profit off of. This is all bad for California, even in a capitalistic sense. Agriculture uses 80% of California's water, but only represents 2% of its GDP.
The Kool-Aid
The
says
Resnick water
so.
monopoly is just one way their quest for wealth hurts the rest of us. They allegedly lobby for increased tensions with Iran to keep embargoes on superior Iranian.
The fuck?
So now we're
What
showing
the
we're starting shit
fucksers?
for Iran so these fucks can make more money with fake water? How many layers of retardation is this?
Too
This is
many.
crazy. And here's the other thing. I bet if you take an average person, like maybe especially before their revolution, but probably even now, I bet you got more in fucking common with the guy that's living in Iran, this your same age, relatively same social status. You got more in common with him, and he's got more in common with you than either of y'all do with these fucks.
These politicians, these corrupt politicians, and
people realized
billionaires, yeah.
It's crazy. No, it's just
we
common
got more in
sense.
common with our brothers and sisters in Iran, Syria,
Pistachios.
Lebanon.
Their giant crops
all
lead to
those
monocultures,
places.
which kill
It
important
is,
pollinators. They siphon taxpayer dollars
Ah!
from company town charter schools they own, set up to train children to work for their farms.
That's smart. Yeah, you get the whole system.
And of course, like any company of this size,
Yeah.
they exploit their workers. We need to treat
course.
water for what it is. A necessary public resource.
What's the answer?
a
Communism?
Human right.
It's not communism, bro. Like, it's not communism when you want to relegate and make sure that you don't have a massive interest take over the supply of
Communism
water in
is
an
something
area.
else.
That's not communism.
Communism social.
But you gotta
it's
stop.
like,
People gotta stop getting with these weird words where it's like everything's
Yeah.
either communism or fascism. Nah, bro. There's a lot of shit that's
It's
common
not.
sense.
It's all just corrupt.
It's common
yeah,
fucking
it's
sense
co-
that this is a bad
yeah,
idea. Like anybody can see it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
People have been programmed too much.
Yeah, they have. They just say they don't
Now,
know.
I think that every once in a while, these guys, more perfect.
Don't know
I
what
think
it
that
really
sometimes
means.
they get shit wrong, but I don't think they're getting this wrong. I do. I don't think they're getting this wrong at all.
Yeah, they're not.
And something that shouldn't be owned by anyone. And work towards legislative change that stops people like the Resnicks from stealing it.
Yep. Yeah,
That-
you're trying
that's
to stop
bloody
getting their news
insane.
from far-right idiots from YouTube at podcasts. Holy shit. Everybody's going to have their own opinion on where they want to get their news and educate themselves on current.
The thing is, there are some independent sites, independent places where people get. I mean, what the place that even geekdom goes straight Arrow News. I'd say there's corruption in all of news. You know, when you go Fox, you go CNN, MSNBC, CNN. Don't believe all the BS because they're promoting, they're getting paid by political donors to spin a narrative, a story, to blame a side, and they're not helping us. They're just making up all this bullshit lies, and they're not helping us. But we're going to get to some news here. I want to get to some of the drone stuff as well. But, let me see. Made drones, and then to the fires. It's 9:02. There is some. There is linus. Let's get to drones real quick and then go over to the fires. I think it's 9:02. I wonder if someone comes in and says they want to see about drones, we could go there as well. But I want to see what's up with these
flanks of flame, but in the middle, the drops have done their work. It's just a lot of glowing embers. I'm sure you can make that out with the shot.
Yeah, that was a beautiful airdrop right there.
It's a beautiful airdrop.
We were wondering, Christy was just
They'll
saying
go
that
down the annals of all
was
history of the
folks.
Jedi.
Certainly, people from the CHP are evacuating folks where you are. That thing is loud, Ed.
This is live.
Even if you're dead asleep, you're waking up from that.
Yeah, inside, there they are here. They came out, and they seemed to be a little agitated because there was a lot of folks not evacuating right away. So they said, come on, you got to go. Let's go. Get in your cars.
It's dramatic.
And you're right, and right beyond them, in the background is some more of the development here, and that all seems to be very vacant too, so the evacuation here seemed to be very quick. And I'm sure they saw the glow here. When did this start? Maybe about an hour ago or so? And so I'm sure they saw the glow coming.
I'm just north of this stuff. I'm just north of this stuff.
A lot of folks here, especially everybody who's a bit edgy.
It could happen here where I am.
They see a glow, and they saw what happened over on the Palisades side. They're not taking any chances here.
Is that the Mountain Gate Country Club right where you are?
I think it is, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yes, and it goes right up to the top here. This is the very end. A beautiful spot here, as you know, with an incredible view on a normal night. Tonight, though, it's a frightening view.
It really is. And Ed, we're just getting word, by the way, that CHP is in fact setting up for a full closure of the 405 along the Sepulveda Pass. So that is a big deal.
That could be a nice, beautiful looking UFO.
Yeah, you know, I'm not surprised. When we came, I was surprised. There wasn't much smoke, and we were saying, boy, you'd think you'd see a lot more smoke through the pass. But we did see the units staging on some of the on-ramps. So we were thinking, well, something must be imminent. And now, as the fire probably pushed a lot of smoke we've been hearing, look at all the smoke coming up from the fire itself. They were thinking it's probably drifting over that way. And you're right, not threatened by flames, but with the smoke. With this smoke, you have the visibility, and that's the problem.
So if people are familiar with this area, Mandeville Canyon is both a hiking trail and there's also a community of houses there. If you start at the beginning of the Mandeville Canyon trailhead and walk all the way through, which has all these hills with a ton of brush, you end where Ed is standing right now, which is in front of the Mountain Gate Country Club there. There is a bunch of homes that are right there that are basically tucked on the side of the 405 freeway. They have a real dramatic aerial view down of the Sepulveda Pass, and then you drive your way down and can get on the 405 there. So that's where we are in terms of
Kool-Aid says bless you, by the way.
And also in terms of topography here. This gives you a better sense during the day in terms of where we are, but this thing is growing, because where Ed was before, which is more of the villages in the Palisades, is quite a ways away from where he is now. I mean, if you think about the size of this fire, Marla, I mean, this is bigger than many cities.
Right.
It is huge.
Doesn't he have a psychiatrist kind of voice?
So you're stationed up above at the Mountain Gate Country Club, and it
looks
like,
I
mean, we haven't seen anybody other than the officials there, the law enforcement. It looks like everyone was already out.
Yes, and in fact, you were talking about the 405 closing with the CHP announcing very loudly here that, get out now. They also said you only got a few minutes because Sepulveda will be closing very soon, was the last announcement on the loudspeaker. Now they've moved down the hill. They've moved further down on Mountain Gate. There was 2 CHP units here. But it's incredible to me. You mentioned we were on the other side, if you will, in the village of the Palisades. You saw the glow over there within the last hour, and it struck me, and perhaps surprising to you as well. I talked to some of the folks here, and they said they can't believe it. And the point I'm trying to make is, there's up here where we're standing and over in the Palisades, hardly any wind tonight, and we kind of got the impression, falsely, that, you know, this thing was maybe a bit more manageable than we thought, that it wasn't going to just blow up like this late at night and with the conditions we're having. But it's, you know, with these things, you know, they are, as we always like to say, out of control monsters, and you can't you know, put your feet up until the thing is finally dead.
Yeah, and because of the terrain there, it's got to be really hard to fight this fire on the ground. Are you seeing many firefighters trying to attack this thing from the ground, or is it basically just all about the air?
I think it's all about the air from what I'm seeing now. I can tell you, though, when we were in the Palisades, there were several strike crews that the county had set up, and they were in their vehicles driving very quickly to get up here. So I was thinking that they're probably going to be the ground attack setting up in these ridges, because you're right, there's another airdrop gets ready here. It's really going to be one where they always say we can't get this one. We can control it somewhat from the air, but we can't snuff it out until we have boots on the ground. So I'm thinking that's where a lot of those strike crews were headed when they made a quick exit out of the Palisades.
So if you're just joining us, what's happening right now is the Palisades fire is on the move. It is headed towards the 405 freeway. There are mandatory evacuations in place, concerns about mountain gates, concerns about Mandeville Canyon. The 405 freeway now shutting down at Sepulveda. We thought that we were in a better position, and this is a reminder that we're not, and that we do not have containment over the Palisades fire, and real reason to be concerned right now.
Important to note that the CHP is setting up right now for full closure of the 405 at Sepulveda in the Sepulveda Basin, the Sepulveda Pass. Right now, that's a major thoroughfare. So as soon as that happens, we'll bring that to you from Skyfox. One of the choppers up, and we'll show you what that's going to do to traffic. Ed is mentioning that Sepulveda itself will be shut down as well, and that's why these officers are going from basically door to door saying you got to get out now for these mandatory evacuations. The Palisades fire since Tuesday has burned more than 21,000 acres. It is just 8% contained. There's also reports that power services requested to shut down due to multiple power lines down on Mandeville Canyon Road. You know, we haven't heard about active homes or active flames engulfing.
Oh, let's see what he has.
With us now, owner and executive chairman of the Los Angeles Times, Dr. Soon Shiong.
This is
Dr. Patrick Soon Shiong, whose paper just today released an explosive investigative report on how ill-prepared Los Angeles was for these devastating wildfires. They report, quoting now, Pacific Palisades Reservoir was offline and empty when the firestorm exploded. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you. Never is local news reporting and important reporting needed more in times like this. When your team of reporters brought you this, that the reservoir was offline and empty, what was your response?
People said a lot of shit about there for good reason.
It's so crazy that we have leaders that are reactive rather than proactive. I mean, it really emphasizes what I tweeted yesterday about issues of competence. And I think that's where we're really concerned. We don't elect people with great operational competence.
It's never when one thing goes wrong, it's when multiple things goes wrong. We argued last night that what we are seeing is not a failure, but is a success of policies, that the policies that were put in place have led to these events. Is that pretty much how you see it as well?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, right, there's really no surprise that we would have fires. In fact, we lived through a fire just a couple of years ago. So the idea that, for example, we don't create fire breaks, we actually reduce the budget. We actually don't inspect the hydrants. We don't, apparently there's another.
We're over 25 billion, that's missing from the state, budget and stuff like this. I've been over, where certain people are getting it and some people are not. And there's a lot of criminal activity with our elected officials that should have never been in office and stuff like that. And so, I mean, why with all these tens of billions, there's a lot more, there's more 24 billion by now. They could have fixed this, they could have done anything about this, and there's the high-speed rail project that's, there's a lot of BS in that. And not getting done, it's costing billions more, hundreds of billions just in one area, tens of millions here and there and other places, and there's a lot of BS going on.
We'll be doing this investigation of a valve that actually could have actually increased the pressure. The absence of water in the reservoirs.
They always do.
Now you hear all these excuses, and I just heard this excuse about disinformation. I mean, I think that's outrageous when you have thousands of acres burning and 10 people are dead, so at least. So yes, I think the policies were misplaced. We have to ask our questions, where are we spending the money and why? And what is the sort of planning and the logistics skill sets of actually preparing ahead for this?
$20 billion spent by Governor Newsom on the homeless problem, if you will.
That went nowhere. I've been in
California.
Let me tell you, I know about these homeless programs, that they're all bullshit and there's corruption. I've been one of these programs to combat homelessness. I've been homeless. And I don't know where all this money is going to. These little projects are going nowhere. Where I am, there's a people's concern and stuff like that. I'm on my way to getting a new place and everything, because where I am right now, it can really suck a lot and everything. But there's good and bad. But it's like with all these other organizations, they don't need. And they wanted to add taxes to homeless stuff. $24 billion is missing, not accounted for. These SOBs want to keep on charging and taxing us when it's going to other people that should be getting the money. These criminals are not being held accountable. They're not being thrown in prison or worse. They're getting away with murder in a lot of ways with this. And it's ridiculous. This homeless thing, it's just BS. Nothing is being done, hardly. Oh God. It's just not going where it's supposed to go. Because if it was, a lot more people would either be housed or just put somewhere else. It's just all a bunch of lies.
The homeless rates went up. I say this respectfully because...
Yeah, it went up. What is it? 13% or is it 18? I have somewhere 13 or 8. It's going to be 18 if it isn't soon. It's 13%. It's going to get worse because of the illegals and everything situation. But
the best defense against incompetence and these kinds of policies is local news, is tough reporting and asking hard questions and not buying into the policies, certainly not of one-party rule, either Republican or Democrat. Is you're now looking back at how the LA Times operated, say, over the past 5 or 6 years, are you seeing that you all miss stories as well?
Well, I got into a little trouble, as I sort of pointed out, prior to the election when I blocked, apparently, accordingly, blocked the endorsement of Vice President or President-elect or President wanted to be Kamala Harris. And I think what we have really was a state and now even a organization that was very progressive. And again, I'll get into trouble for that, where we have basically groupthink.
Say it anyway.
At the paper.
Just say it.
At the paper, at the opinion section, and so I needed to have really what I call critical thought, and to sort of bring it. Now with this event, we really must investigate, and that's really the basis of the paper, speaking truth to power, and really investigating the root cause.
I mean, one thing about in China, Japan, a good amount of Asian countries, is that you're taught not to confront that much a person, to say certain things that can cause maybe an argument or whatever, but just, not bring stuff up. It's here in America and in the West, particularly, that is different, where we're taught, hey, if you don't like something, speak up and say it. Like China, Vietnam, stuff like that, Japan, you don't usually say anything. You don't invite confrontation and stuff like that. So I think he's got a lot of that, but you gotta say what it is. You gotta say what it is.
All these issues and making sure that this doesn't happen again.
Thanks for watching. Go to join and
so
that are being given by
fire
and police authorities. This is not a drill. This is a dynamic situation.
Our reporters are on the ground. They're getting stationed in the most impacted neighborhoods. Have you heard, Councilwoman, reports of active structures on fire?
No, not yet at this time, just vegetation, but we want to take every precaution that we can to do everything to protect life and property. So we are doing these evacuations now. We're putting our resources in place, and I know that the men and women at the fire department are doing everything in their power with the resources they have to keep our community safe.
What about the Getty Center? We understand that that's also under evacuation.
Yes, everything 5 is under evacuation. There's no way to sugarcoat what we are dealing with and what we are looking at right now. This is absolutely catastrophic, what is happening on the west side of Los Angeles. We are actively managing this fire. We are working not only with our own fire department, but the county and CAL FIRE and hundreds of resources and assets that have arrived.
I saw the Getty. I mean, there's all that brush and everything. I knew that could happen.
In a precautionary way, we want to do it in an orderly way.
That's a fire danger there. That's a fire danger there.
I don't want folks to think that we are out of the woods.
You knew that.
We're not.
Just saying, I knew that as a dumb, ordinary citizen.
And our efforts to fight and contain not just this fire, but other fires in the region is going to continue to take time. So folks need to continue to follow along with all of the official channels for the most current information about evacuation orders. And it is essential that they comply with the directions that they're being given so that we can save lives and protect property.
Can you talk to us about the decision to shut down the 405 freeway? As we know, that is one of the busiest freeways in the world. That, I imagine, is a decision that you don't take lightly.
It is not a decision that is taken lightly, but we have got to have adequate space for staging so that we have the ability to fight this fire. There are homes and property and lives that are threatened by this, and we want to make sure that we are giving people the space and the time that they need to get out in an orderly, fashioned way. But these orders are in place and they are there for a reason, and that means pack your essential documents, your critical items, your pets, and whatever loved ones you want to take with you and get moving.
Any other final thoughts you want to share with your constituents and our viewers tonight?
I just want everybody to know that we are bringing every resource of our local, our county, our state, and our federal government to attack these fires. We are all working around the clock, and our primary mission is to save lives.
And last point, the importance of the air attack tonight. Obviously, this is rugged terrain. It's very difficult to drive back there. The importance that we have those helicopters, at least 10, maybe 12, flying tonight.
It's absolutely essential. We already know that in large part, the devastation in the Palisades is because we weren't able to get air assets up. That is an essential part of our toolkit in fighting circumstances like this. So we are absolutely praying that the weather cooperates long enough to get those resources in the air so that we can fight this fire. No matter what happens, we are going to continue to throw resources out this to protect lives and property.
And one more question.
Great,
who is running the LA Fire Department tonight? Is Kristen Crowley the chief? Is she actively running the department?
Kristen Crowley is our fire chief, and we have got folks all over who are running our command posts. We are in good hands, and we have the resources that we need to do this in an orderly fashion. But again, everybody needs to follow along with the official channels so they have the most up-to-date information and know that everybody on the ground is working around the clock to protect lives and property in Los Angeles. Everybody is working around the clock tonight in Los Angeles.
Are exiting off of Sepulveda to try to navigate their way through these closures.
We see from your flames in your live look that that's what got people's attention this afternoon. That's what they were seeing, these explosions of flames from the freeway and from Ventura Boulevard, wherever they were traveling through the valley today. But you never want to go around police closures or barriers that they've set up in traffic because it just causes more confusion.
Absolutely, and we saw people abandoning their cars in the Palisades fire when it first broke out. If you are ever faced in that situation, leave the keys in the vehicles. That way, at least if firefighters come along and they need to move your car out of the way, they can move it rather than having it bulldozed. So those are the little things that we're learning as we have these unprecedented fires, situations that we have really never been in before. We're used to fires, but what we've seen this week with the multiple fires that we've experienced.
There's lots of fires. There's more homes. More homes, more people.
We're experiencing. We're just kind of learning
more
as
homes
we go
are going
along.
to get
So
burned
again, if you're
with
trying
these fires.
to evacuate, and
That's
if you're under those mandatory
just
evacuation
mathematics.
orders, now's the time to
Which
go. There
makes
really
this a
isn't
whole lot
any time to
worse.
waste. If the police officers came to your door already, knocked up,
Statistics.
and told you it's time to go, it's time to go. If you're still under those evacuation warnings, you have a little bit more time, but get that go bag ready. If it's going to take you a little bit longer to get in your car, let's say you have a mobility issue or you have pets, start getting going because of course these roads are going to get very busy, and now with that
Computers
closure
right there.
along the southbound
Never mind.
405, it's just going to make things that much more difficult to leave the area.
Move on.
Do we know the SIG alert? Is that because those exits are closed? Is that because of smoke blowing over the freeway there, or is it because they need to get some of those fire engines up there to protect?
Yeah. I'd be afraid those helicopters hitting each other. Yeah, they got
Move the
it.
shot back over and give you the map again.
That fire, if we're in those helicopters, that light, you have reflections and everything going on. I'm surprised those helicopters don't collide with each other or something
but as you
else.
said, it's leaving
That
it
is
open allows firefighters
very
to have easier
scary, 'cause
access to
that-
get up
that
into
has
these
happened
areas where they
sometimes.
are so desperately
The fires,
needed
you know,
for the
airplanes
firefight.
and stuff
of course,
like
it's just
that,
going to keep other
reflection,
vehicles out of the
the
area
glare.
as well. But the smoke is headed this way. It continues to move in this
You
easterly
just can't
direction.
see
The
it.
winds are out of
Just
the west. So if the
boom.
smoke continues moving
That's
this
it.
way, it will be covering the 405
Yeah,
freeway
that's
at
scary.
some point in time. So it could be it could just be a premature move here by the CHP, but a smart move at that, just to keep people away.
Yeah, and I understand the firefighting aspect. They need access where they need
This
to go,
is
so they
live.
might need to shut those off. But
The-
we can
the
see it's also
audio,
very smoky
that's not my
on the
end,
live
that's
picture
theirs.
as well. All right, Ileana, thank you so much. We want to bring in David Bigger right now because he can talk more about the winds, what we're seeing tonight, and then what we have going tomorrow.
You know, one more point to Colleen's thought there. I wonder if part of the reason why those exits are closed, that's the side of the freeway that's got the evacuation orders.
Yeah, you may
is
be
probably
right about that.
westbound of 405. So I wonder if that's part of it too. They're trying to get people out, not get a bunch of people coming in.
Right.
Yeah, so as we watch the shots here from News Chopper 4, it's been interesting to kind of see where this is burning. Still, this is the challenge with nighttime. It's very difficult to tell exactly which ridgeline this is, especially in the Santa Monica Mountains where we have tons of ridge tops. So it looks like this hasn't gone down into Mandeville Canyon. This might be the ridge, and that part that you're seeing right there burning down, that might be burning down toward Mandeville Canyon, but may not have gotten to the bottom of the canyon yet. I was watching some of the flight tracking as well. I've got an approximate location, I think, of where they're kind of working as well. But I wanted to show you some of the maps here. And you're going to have to forgive some of the map locations here. You'll notice that we've cut off the Santa Monica observation site, and same with the Malibu Creek site. The reason why is because we're trying to shift the map in this direction to show you where we're talking about. The fire has burned outside of this red area. This is the area that's already burned. It's likely right along
Yet
this
there's
ridge
part
line
of
here. We'll zoom in here in
405
just a
that's
second. I'll
supposed
show
to
you.
be shut down.
The one challenge we have as meteorologists,
There's
we do a
all
lot of
these
fire tracking around the region. We
in
have
a
so
way,
few
so-
observation sites to work with once you get essentially east of Topanga Canyon. So
That
that's
doesn't
why we
seem
only
right.
have Topanga Beach down here, and then you don't see any observation sites. We don't have anything up here to really be able to tell the wind. The next observation site's right over here by Stone Canyon Reservoir, and even then it's reporting relatively light winds. The good news, this is really good news for firefighters. Humidity has come up slightly, still pretty dry, 20%, but we're down to 8-mile-per-hour winds at this point, only gusting up to 12. So this is the period that we're looking at between the last Santa Ana wind event. Remember, the red flag warning came down around 6 o'clock. So the last Santa Ana wind event and our next one, which will start tomorrow morning. So this period in between, the winds are relatively light, and that's the benefit. So we're seeing that right now. Now I'm going to step off the screen for just a second because I want to actually zoom in on this map and show you where it looks like the firefighting aerial attack is working. So let me just grab this map right here. So I'll leave it right there. All right, so the areas that we're talking about here, here's the 405. This is Mountain Gate.
Yeah.
So
So
here's
there's
Mandeville
part
Canyon right
405
through here. It
that's
looks like a
supposed
lot
to
of the
be
helicopters
closed.
that are coming around are coming down the canyon, then swooping around, and then it looks like that the water drops are happening. There's a little ridge line that's right in here. There's another ridge line that's right in here as well. And then this is the peak that essentially runs between that canyon and the canyon next to it. So it looks like the fire had come up to this area and is trying to come over. It may have come
There's
over in a
fire
few spots,
break
but they're
in this
actively
line
working
right
on trying to
here.
get it into Mandeville Canyon. Because again, I was mentioning this kind
Which
of
is-
earlier,
which
and I'll show you Futurecast
is
in just
a
a
good
second.
deal.
We will have a
Yeah.
shift in the winds as we get into tomorrow, and it'll become more of a north wind rather than a westerly wind. And I think the firefighters are trying to prevent this from progressing any further. Aside from the fact that there's homes and communities and the country club right here on the 405, I think the other reason why is because the farther this fire gets east, the more opportunity it has to burn south through all of this area that is not burned when the wind direction shifts around. So let me actually show you this with Futurecast. We're going to pick up Futurecast around 3 o'clock in the morning for tomorrow. Still relatively light winds at this point. In fact, if anything, we might have a little bit of a northeasterly wind around Topanga Beach. That's one of the observation sites we're going to use here. But as we advance through here, we're going to pause right at around 11 o'clock in the morning. You see the wind starting to pick up. This is classic Santa Ana wind, mid to late morning hours when it starts developing. And then it gets gusty overnight into early Sunday. This is 6 a.m. Strongest winds are for the Ventura County mountains. But if you look around the Palisades fire, you can see gusty for the western portions. The eastern portions not as windy, but still windy. But note the wind direction around Topanga Beach. That is due north wind. So that means it is coming straight out of the north toward the south. So any progression this fire makes toward the east, Kathy, it looks like it would be able to then burn south through some of that unburned fuel. And so I think that is why we have that active firefight tonight. They're trying to keep it from getting any farther east. Aside from the fact there's homes and communities that they're concerned about, that's obviously priority one. They don't want it to be able to burn to the south because then it's going down canyon with the winds, and there's more communities down there. So they're working on several fronts tonight, I think.
Do you think the people flying, the pilots, are having trouble flying tonight, or is it pretty decent for them?
So fortunately, the winds aren't too crazy, so it's probably not too bumpy. It's a little bumpy up there. And the other benefit they have right now is that in the upper atmosphere, the winds are still out of the north right now. And so if I back up the map here for a second, as the firefighters are coming in around this area, even though there's smoke, all the smoke is then being blown to the south as it goes up higher in the atmosphere. So they actually probably have pretty decent visibility right through here as they're working on their fire drops. There's still a lot of smoke, don't get me wrong, but they're likely having better visibility than if there were no winds and then the smoke is just kind of settling everywhere, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, because I know they're very, very good, but
right.
The accuracy sometimes can be affected by how the winds are.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is great opportunity right now for their air attack.
I'm going to hope so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
David, thank you. On the phone with us right now, Councilmember Tracy Parks, who represents the 11th Council